In a joint sponsorship from then Gallaudet College, the Law Center at George Washington University, and the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, the National Center for Law and the Deaf hung out its shingle in October 1975. Since that time, the center has fought tirelessly for the rights and protection of deaf and hard of hearing people in legal, educational, and legislative matters. The NCLD holds legal workshops to educate deaf people on their rights under the law. Because of the center's influence, several deaf people have undertaken various legal professions. The National Center for Law and the Deaf's central office is housed at Gallaudet University, Washington, D.C.
Facial expression is a non-manual part of sign language. Saying the same sentence with different facial expressions can communicate totally different information. We're going to show you some examples of facial expressions in sign language that linguists have identified and studied. Personally, I never thought about them as I grew up. I just absorbed them with the signs I use naturally.
Facial expression in sign language seems to have a function similar to tone of voice for speaking people. For example, if you are asking a question requiring a yes or no answer, you must raise your eyebrows. If you ask a how, why, or what question, you must squint your eyes. Watch while we show you some examples so you can be aware of what to look for.
Raised eyebrows. Do you have a pencil? Do you have a pencil? I squint. Where is your car? Where is your car? Puffed cheeks. We drove for a long time. We drove for a long time. Tucked chin. We just arrived. We just arrived. Thrust tongue. I hung my clothes in the closet. I hung my clothes in the closet. Pursed lips. The box has a tiny hole in it. The box has a tiny hole in it.
That was just some of the facial expressions to watch for. Some of the expressions are adjectives that describe the shape or size of something. Sometimes these expressions are combined with each other. To review, puffed cheeks, raised eyebrows, I squint, pursed lips, thrust tongue. Be careful when you practice these. You're sure to get some funny expressions from other people.
Anna Rinaldi will tell you a story about her neighbor. Watch closely and see how much you understand as she signs the story without voice. Then she will repeat the story, and we will add voice to help you. How much did you understand? Now watch the story again, this time with voice to help you.
I want to tell you a story about my neighbor. When I first moved here, my neighbor lived just over the hill. I had been here 2 days when I noticed my neighbor was hammering, sawing, and building a fence right on my driveway. What's wrong with him? I went up to him and said, "Don't build a fence on my property." I showed him, "Look, here are the orange stakes. That proves my property line." Do you think he apologized? No, he dropped what he was doing and left. Now what am I to do with that fence? Later, he moved away. Thank goodness.
Well, we learned a lot about facial expression and communication in this program. I have found that hearing people who are not afraid to move their bodies and faces have an advantage to learning sign language. It's important to not be afraid to show your feelings.
While I was growing up, my parents told me that it was not polite to wave my arms and hands when talking. In sign language, it is necessary, as well as a beautiful and important part of the language. That's all for now. See you next time for On the Other Hand.